Hello everybody, how are you guys doing? Now in this video I am going to talk about Kathleen Tally, aka Kathleen Starks. Now first and foremost, I early on in the other videos, if you guys seen, you guys noticed I kept on calling her Katrin. It's not Katrin, I guess it's Kathleen. I've been like messing up the way I say this woman's name, but all the same, hopefully you guys understand or know what I'm talking about when I say it. Child, there's a lot to talk about with this lady. This specific video is about her and to talk about her and everything about her and just get into her character. Okay, so first and foremost, I want to talk about the things that the show did not tell us. Right now, I had did a little bit of research and found this information out. I'm not going to talk about everything. I'm gonna just talk about a little bit of what, because this is more so about the show, right? Because I watched the show in its entirety and I wanted somebody to discuss all these different characters with, right? So I'm here discussing it with you all, but I'm not gonna get into the, like, I'm gonna do it the best I can, but I'm not gonna get into different things that are away from the show. I really want to stick to what we saw like from the show, because the book is a complete different version than the actual what we know, or like, from the actual story that we seen up in the show. And I only watched the show, I did not read the book, so I don't want to talk about the book at all too much, but I did do a little research on the book. But y'all gonna get what y'all get, and when y'all, the stuff that y'all don't get, excuse me for it. I'm just giving you guys a disclaimer, okay? Now, Tally's parents, Catholic parents, are Tally. So it's Lord Hostel Tally, and Lady Venetia. Now, this is his, like, her mom and her dad, right? Venetia died in childbirth to her fourth son. So heads up, her mom dies when Catelyn is like early on, right? Early on, and she's young and all of that when this all happens. Now, two brothers died in infancy as well, so she was around a lot of death before she was born, and she's valued as a son and a daughter because of her parents lost two kids. So after having like a hard time with childbirth, they were able to have their two boys that passed on, and so she's very much so held to her parents' heart. They're like, they don't care if she's a boy or a girl, they like value her as both. Like, yeah, she's as important as a daughter and a son, so she's had a lot of responsibilities, and she just had a lot being expected of her from her family because of this, because she, her mother and her father had lost children prior to her being born. And I can relate to this because my mom always tells me that there was like twins that was supposed to be born before me, and they died like very, very young. And remind you, I'm Liberian, so this happened like during childbirth. And the Africa, the hospital care is not as good, probably the way it was back in medieval times. I'm just saying that because it's a poor country, so that the hospital care and all of that, they believe in midwives and all of that. So early on, my parents lost two kids, and when they finally was able to give birth to me and have me, it was such an important thing. So I kind of understood her from this perspective, you having a lot of put on you, people having a lot of high expectations from you. However, my parents did have like children from like previous relationships before me. I'm the only kid that they had together. So my mom got with my dad, like she had two kids, but that died. And then I came, so I'm very much so valued. And other kids were not, like, they didn't have any other kids after me. So I was like a big deal. However, with Catelyn, they did have other kids after her, but her parents always held her as high, like the highest, like had a lot of responsibilities on her because they lost kids before her. And this is like, just, mind you, her mom later on died from the fourth child, because like having kids is like a, instrumental, very important thing, back then, especially for these lords and ladies and all of that. Like the women, that's your job. Your job is to, like, you're supposed to have these kids. Now, one thing about Catelyn was very dutiful, and I compare her to Ned Stark's. He was extremely dutiful. He did what he had to do, and she was no different in that manner. She did all that was required of her. She did what she had to do by her family. Catelyn was 12 when her mom died. When her mom died, her dad told her that she must be the Lady of Riverrun. And her dad loved her because, she stepped up when her mom died. So she was like, at 12 years old, she was the lady, had to do her duties, and she did what she was told. She followed everything her dad said. Of course, they had workers and such, people that worked for her dad, but a lot of the responsibilities was put on her. She had a lot. And honestly, it was unfair because she didn't really have time to enjoy her childhood. She had a lot of responsibilities put on her, and she had to grow up really fast, and that was so unfair to her. And she spent a lot of her youth in grief. So there was this Peter Baelish. I'm sorry, Baelish. I'm saying Baelish, but his name is Baelish. Peter Baelish Littlefinger. And Littlefinger was set to be raised with the Tally family at River Run. So he was poor. He didn't have a lot of money. He didn't come from a lot of money, and he was living with them. And Lysa was one of like her sisters. And then they had a lot of like I keep saying Lisa. Her name is not Lisa. Her name is Lysa. I'm sorry, Lysa. And her had sibling rivalry. And Lysa was incredibly jealous of her sister because she felt as though like her parents had her sister on like this high podium. And then this boy, Peter Baelish, who was basically Littlefinger, he came to live with them. And he just thought the world of Kat, but Kat definitely played her little mind games with him. I read about allegedly them doing like the kissing game and such. And it was supposed to be like innocent kissing, and how he tried to slip her some tongue and she just was not having it. And like, all the time put him in his place. When he really like tried to pursue her, she would laugh at him. She always thought that he was just like a funny, cute little boy. And he really loved her. He really wanted to be with her. He had the biggest crush on her. And the sister wanted him just in a way to like spite her sister. However, like Kat didn't really like Littlefinger like that, but her sister Lysa was like obsessed with being better, because she didn't understand why when her mom passed on, or why her sister had to take on all these like she felt like it was because she was better, not because she was the eldest, or she had to do what she had to do. She didn't think about the duties of it all. She felt like somehow, some way, her dad felt as though her sister was better, or a better choice than she was, and she was very jealous of that. Now here's the crazy part about Lysa, right? So Lysa was in a one-sided competition with her sister Kat over Peter. Now Peter, like Kat never really wanted Peter. Kat just kind of like saw him, like I said before, very innocently, like a kid, and she would play little romance games with him and just play with his, like, a lot of mind games, a lot of head games with him, and he just wanted her so passionately. And her sister Lysa like wanted to win Peter's heart over her sister, to somehow prove that she was better than her sister, which really didn't prove anything, because Kat didn't want Peter, and Peter didn't have much to his name. He wasn't much of a win, because they like he came to live with them and their family. Like he was like with them, and they gave him like a means to live. However, Lysa was so obsessed, and she just in her mind felt as though like this was the way to prove that she was better than her sister, by getting with Peter, which was absolutely dumb as ever. Now Lysa always like felt as though her parents liked Kat better, like I said, and preferred her over Lysa. So Lysa would do anything, like every which way. Even in the series, Lysa, when Kat's daughter Sansa finally goes see her aunt that she's never met, her aunt is like very aggressive or pulling on to her. Like she has very intense jealous tendencies. Like she has low self-esteem. She doesn't think much of herself, and a lot of it comes from her parents and how her parents didn't instill that into her. In fact, they always treated her older sister like she was just everything, but the older sister, since the mom died, was everything. She had to be everything. And I think that she didn't like try to understand, or like how did this happen with Kat? Like how is this affecting Kat? How hard it was for her to always be perfect. She didn't look at it like that. She looked at it as, she just knows that she's better than me. Like she had a lot of insecurities, and it was very sad. Now, this situation got so crazy that the night that Kat was bestowed to marry Brandon Starks, which actually ended up not happening, if you know anything, but we're going to get into that. When she was like betrothed to him and was supposed to be marrying him, Littlefinger and Lysa that was like the first time that they got it in. They had sex. That is just crazy, right? And Littlefinger later on got Lysa pregnant, child. And when her father found out about this, like found out he was like, got her pregnant, she sent like everything was a mess. Okay, so she got pregnant. Her father, when I say he sent Peter away, which is Littlefinger, and forced Lysa to have an abortion. Now, if you know anything about abortions, they don't do it the way they do it now. Back in the day, they don't do it like that. So back in the day, they basically the dad made her drink tea. Now she had the abortion through tea, child, and the overall process almost killed her. And when I tell you the overall process later on led to her having a issue, conceiving, having a child. However, later on she did have one child whose name was Robert, and she was really overprotective of him. And the man she got married to, and had her son Robert with, she didn't really want to marry. And from the show says that it's the Mad King. She ended up marrying the Mad King from the show. Mind you, we going a lot of it off the show. So yeah, she never wanted to marry him. She just wanted to marry Littlefinger. And the child that she and Littlefinger had, they basically made her get rid of that child, and she didn't really want to do that. Her whole life was just agony and pain. Now, remember, the Mad King was a Targaryen. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say that and the name's right. So that was the Mad King, right? So if you think about it, then her son kind of is related to Jon. That little boy was so annoying from the show. He was just a spoiled little boy, and his mom just let him do whatever. But she really loves that little boy because she was really struggling with childbirth after having to go through this abortion and everything. It was just a lot on her body, a lot, and then she was still, that added to her fuel for Kat, because she was jealous that Kat didn't have to go through all of that. Kat kind of got it pretty much easy. She didn't have to mess with somebody. And the main reason why she messed with him and Littlefinger in the first place, in my opinion, is because he was all in love with her sister. So you went in your entire life chasing your sister, disliking your sister, having all this animosity for your sister, who was one-sided, didn't even really notice that you really felt like that. And this reveals that she was blindsided, because when all of this mess goes down and all the drama happens, she goes reaches back out to her sister, and I'm like, she ain't never knew that her sister did not like her. Girl, and that's the saddest thing. The saddest thing in the world is not knowing who your real friends are, meaning that you don't know who got your back and who don't. Your whole life you think that it's supposed to go a certain type of way, or people in your corner really rock with you, when in actuality, you were wrong. This woman did not like you, in fact was envious of you your entire life, and then you playing all these little mind games with the man that she loved and got with him just in order to spite you, but you didn't give a damn about all these people trying to gain some sort of reaction from you, hurt you, make you feel some type of way for whatever reason, because they just think that you got it made, and it never landed because you didn't even notice. You were too above it. You were too grown, too above it to really ever really notice what was going on, Kat never really did care about Peter. Kat was placed above all of, she placed herself above the entire situation, didn't even see what they had going on, and didn't even put any importance on Peter, let alone how her sister felt about Peter. None of it. Kat just sees Peter as this harmless little boy, and he's sweet and harmless. And this is shown later on when she convinced her husband, who was not, it wasn't Brandon, and you guys already know, Ned Starks, to trust Peter, which led to his untimely demise, because he really loved his wife and really trusted, the things that she was saying. Come to find out, she should not have trusted Peter Littlefinger, because Littlefinger was not the sweet little boy that she was used to. He was out for self and, looks and how things could be persuade or not even persuade is not the word, portrayed, that's the word, is not really what it is. People look a certain type of way, whole time they be against you, the whole time they're planning for your downfall, and that was this entire situation. Peter really was in love with her and wanted to be with her, but because of that, he had no loyalty towards he didn't have no loyalty towards her husband, as much as she wanted to he wanted to be with her, as much as he wanted just her all to himself. Allegedly, according to the books, now I haven't read this is what I've heard, that he challenged Brandon to a fight, Brandon Starks, who was basically Ned Stark's brother, to a fight, and he ended up getting sliced up, and that's why he had to wear turtlenecks, allegedly, throughout the whole show, from the series. I don't know how true that is, but if this is true, if there's any truth to this, and this was in the book or wherever, then I don't know why she somehow felt I don't know if she knew about the fight. I don't know that part, because I said, that was in the book. I didn't read the book, but like the entire time she was blinded that this like guy was really deadly in love with her, and that he would go against anybody, any man that she was betrothed to or wanted to be with, because in his mind he really wanted to be with her. And I'm glad, her father did not like Lord Tally did not set up for them to hostile Tally, I think that's his name. I'm sorry if I'm messing up his name, but yeah, I'm glad the dad didn't set Lysa to be married to him, because it was never about you. He really just wanted, your sister, and you was just so blind. If you can't go against your own blood or your sister in order to get with this man who at the end of the day has like negative thoughts about you, who's a negative person, it's just crazy. Her entire little situation, Lysa's situation with this guy, you just was trying to use him as a pawn. Whole time he used you as a pawn. You were trying to use him as a pawn in your beef or your issue with your sister, your problems with your sister, and you ended up getting used and getting your feelings hurt because you was weak and too insecure to see past what was in front of you. Now let's talk about it, okay? So she ended up getting pregnant and having an abortion by this guy, everything sacrificed. And when I say she, I mean Lysa did all of this in order to be with Littlefinger, aka Peter. And the whole time, even after he did, like they did all had sex, lost her virginity, to this everything, he still wanted Kat. And Kat did not like blink an eye one time. And Kat was so dead like to this whole sibling rivalry thing. She didn't see her sister beefing with her, no nothing, like I told you guys. So Edmea was Kat's brother, second to her, making Lysa the youngest. So Edmea was said to have invited all of the regular people into his castle for food and shelter when the Riverlands was under attack. Kat disliked this about her brother. She felt like as though it was pointless. Like she didn't feel like they needed to do all of that, especially since Kat kind of like, and this is just not how she felt. It's like just people of her standard or people like on her level would feel like that. Like, why are we helping these peasants, these poor people out? Why are we giving to them? Like they supposed to be able to get to them before they get to us, and now you're inviting them. So she never really understood why her brother like was this way. He was such a sweet, sensitive, kind person. They couldn't be any more different. So Kat was more like dutiful, where Edmea was easygoing and kind, and kind of similar to Ned, her future husband, right? He and Ned was very similar, and she disliked her brother for this. She wanted her brother to step up and not play the baby role, and so she wouldn't have to do it. Like she was playing boy and girl. Her parents expected that from her ever since they lost the two twins. So she wanted her brother to take on some of the responsibilities so she wouldn't have to work so hard, and just be dutiful, do your duties, be like I am. However, he wasn't like that. He was kind and just very easygoing, no drama with him. And here's the crazy part. Kat would snap on her brother sometimes and even put him down when speaking to him. She was very hard on him. She definitely loved him dearly, but never really trusted him to be more than what he's been, which was like the easygoing brother, baby brother. She wants him to be more than just her baby brother. She wants him to be responsible. Now Kat has some resentment, like I said, because he was just too cool, just too cool, too calm. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to take over this. Kat's supposed to get married. You're supposed to be the man of Riverrun, when she leaves. So she's like, I expect you to step up, and now you just play in the backfield. But he was very insecure because she just took on everything, didn't really leave space for him to step up and be the man that he was supposed to be his own man. She always was overtly taking advantage, or not even taking advantage, taking over everything, that didn't leave room for anybody else to shine. She had a takeover spirit, and it really made her siblings feel insecure, where with him, Edmea was very and I'm sorry if I'm saying his name wrong, hopefully I am not, but he just was insecure. He just doubted himself, talked down on himself. He went to that approach thinking that he was less than, where Lysa was very envious of her, and it both of them was insecure, but insecure in different ways. And because of how she was and what her parents made her have to be, she had the takeover spirit or whatever, and just had to be a certain type of way, had to be the oldest, had to be. It didn't leave room. It made her peers, not even peers, her siblings feel less than, they just could not compare. And where one person was envious, the other person doubted themselves and was very largely insecure about his own qualities. Not saying necessarily he wanted her qualities, he just wanted to be important too, to be liked, to be, and both of them wanted that. But while one was envious and wanted what she had, he just wanted to know why he wasn't good enough, or could not be liked or appreciated in that manner, because he felt like he's important, like he is who he is, and why isn't that enough? Now, I want to point this out, that Kat is about 10 years older than her brother. So Edmure never felt as though that, like, because she was way older than him, he never felt like he really could compare to her. So he just never tried. He just was like, he was content with being himself, and allowing her to just, be who she was, and he, like, just didn't like make a big pickle out of it. He just accepted who he was and stood down. However, Lysa was envious, so he's like, I'm gonna stand down and let you play, be who you are, and I'm gonna be content with being who I am. He never tried to make her feel bad or nothing. He did feel like very insecure, but he didn't like over make it a big deal. He just let her be who she wanted to be. Like, if that's who you want to be, then that's fine. But it always made him feel very insecure, because he felt like, man, I should be doing more. Why am I not doing more? Like, I should be this type of person. I need to like up it up. Like, I need to perform more. I need to be this type of person. And that made him feel, very insecure. So he, like, this is the crazy part, right? He sets up his like task and all that he has, to go off to battle. And when he was trying to go off to battle, Kat really didn't really trust him. Like, she didn't trust what he was like, his entire battle plan and everything, but she was like, basically like, hopefully you're right, like, about all this stuff that you're saying that you're going to do with battle and everything. Like, hopefully you do, and everything works out for you, and he's like confident in what he's going to do. But before he goes off to battle, Kat told him that, like, his father was always proud of him and that he loves him fiercely, trying to give him some positive words, right? So he actually goes out to battle and wins. Like, everything that he was setting up to where Kat was doubting him, and I think that forced her to like step up and say, hey, like, you're not a baby anymore to me. Like, you're my big like my not my big brother, but you're my baby brother, but you're not a baby anymore. You know what you're talking about. But when he comes back, he's like, it's like, damn if I do and damn if I don't, because when he comes back, he still feels bad about himself, because his father dies, and he wasn't there. He regrets that he went off the battle. He feels as though, like, I should have stayed by your side, Kat. Like, should have stayed with dad, and this is another family member dying with Kat. She's lost her mom to childbirth. She's lost, like, and now her dad, like, her two siblings that passed. Well, she wasn't really around for that. She came after that. But I'm saying that it's been a lot of dreary and death and sadness around her, and this added on to it. But she had to speak positivity into her brother, who felt like really bad about himself, because he basically like went off to war and basically won the war. But for what? Like, you can't come back and brag about it to your dad and tell him that you finally did something that his daughters couldn't do. Like, you did something big that gave you confidence, that made you proud, made you happy, but now your father's gone. Like, what I'm saying? It really affected him in a very major way, because he felt as though, I'm sorry, I had to breathe, in a very major way, he felt like, man, I finally did something to where I felt like I was making you proud, something that's different, like something that's carrying on your legacy, your name, but you passed on. Like, oh my God, and now I feel horrible because I love you so much that I wish I would have been here before you passed on and told you, like, Dad, I did this, brought you back something to where you could be proud of me, because he always felt insecure. He felt like the only child that was making his dad proud was Kat. So he finally felt like, I had something to show you, to tell you, that would make you so proud of me, but now you're gone and I wasn't here, and now I feel worse. Was it even worth it? All of this was not worth it. He really felt down about himself. Now we're going to talk about just Ned, right? And I don't want to get too much into Edward, whatever, Ned. I just call him Ned because it's easier for me to say. I don't want to get too much into him because I did a whole video breaking his situation down. But he comes and he finally like just marries Kat because his brother was supposed to do it, Brandon, but Brandon never got to do that because he passed on. So he came and did his brother honor, did his duty and married Kat. Kat and Edward had 5 children together: Rob, Sansa, Arya, Brian, Rickon, Bran, sorry, I'm saying Brian, Bran, and Rickon. And yeah, those are the kids. Okay, so let's talk about the kids, right? So I want to talk about Bran, how he fell about the tree, child, because this is like a very important part of the show. So Bran falls out of the tree. And he falls out of the tree because Cersei and Jaime are like getting it in, and he basically sees that, and Jaime throws him out of the tree. The little boy probably could have died, should have died, or would have died. However, he didn't actually die, and he lived on. But like early on in the show, you see him basically being in pain, and just being in bedridden until he's able to get up, like in some sort of I would say like just sleeping. Well, not sleeping. That stuff when I don't even remember the name of it, but people, a coma, there it is, coma, like just knocked out sleep, right? And he has his wolf, because remember, when all of them are younger, their father, shout out to Ned Starks, gives them all wolves. Like he sees a wolf where the wolf was basically killed and stuff, and the wolf has some babies, and he shares it. It's enough of the wolves that each one of the kids, including Jon Snow, everybody's able to get a wolf. And the only person that didn't get a wolf was Theon Greyjoy. He didn't get a wolf, but all of the Starks kids, even Jon Snow got a wolf. So the wolf is guarding Bran when all of this happened, and somebody takes an attempt on Bran's life, child. And this is kind of what pushed Cat to basically stay and like mind him and look after him. And I want to say that the prince, so early on, the prince had asked, hey, could you come and be my hand, basically my advisor? And he went on, they had a conversation. There was a lot of back and forth about it, but he went on to do this. And she stayed. She chose to stay because somebody made an attempt on her son's life. So she goes to, like, later on, when she sees that her son's able to get up or whatever, she goes to King Landing on the low, sneaks there, and trusts Littlefinger. Is like a whole weird thing with that. And then like kidnaps one of the brothers, one of the not the Targaryen brothers, the Lannister brothers, and kidnaps them, and allegedly this is what leads to Ned's like passing, because he has to admit that he had like did treason when he didn't, and he basically, after admitting he did all of that just to save Sansa, only for his head to get cut off. It's a whole thing, but people are saying that it's all her fault, and people are really upset with her because they feel as though she disliked Jon Snow. Now, Jon Snow situation, I ain't gonna lie, it was weird to me too, because like, let's be real, this was before all of her kids was even born, and you got to think about it. He agreed to marry her. He wasn't supposed to marry her. Like, his brother was supposed to marry her. So the fact that she has all of this jealousy, in my mind, I'm thinking like they got together on their own, probably loved each other. He always loved her. That was that type of situation, but he wasn't even supposed to marry her. It's not like this is a worked out marriage. This is like they made y'all get married. What is going on? And throughout the entire show, I'm not gonna lie to y'all, that's what capping means. She was very negative, but she has that, I guess, since she's like seen so much death at such a young age. She's just very negative. She was very negative, and I didn't like that about her. And I didn't like how, she kind of like gave. So what happened was her son captured Jaime, right? Her son got Jaime, and had him as a prisoner, and she got so desperate to have her daughter Arya and Sansa back that she had I forgot what that girl's name was. Hold on. The girl who was a sword fighter, the girl who just Lady Brienne, who was like such a big sword fighter. She was so strong, like man level strong. She had Lady Brienne who swore her sword to her, because I remember her like prince or king that she was serving had passed on, and it was a weird thing where people were gonna blame it on her, saying that she committed treason and all of this. So this woman basically got her out of there and was like telling her like run, like come. So she like pledged her life to Lady Brienne, right? So she pledged her life. Lady Brienne pledged her life to Mrs. Starks, Kathleen Starks. And while all this, you basically sent Jaime to get delivered to King's Landing, all because you want to get your children swiped out, which was a stupid decision to make. And then your goddamn dumbass son, you making all of these weird things, like making these agreements. Your son, you knew your son couldn't marry. You saw that man and how he was sleeping with his daughters and how nasty that was. Why would you pledge your son to that? Like, we all knew he wasn't going to do it. You set him up in a situation to where it wasn't his own doing, something that was unimaginable, and just expected him to go with it without, like, much information. And then when he found the girl that he wanted to marry, how he handled it, I don't know why. What made y'all think that y'all could just sit with this man? It was very stupid to go meet with him. I understand that you guys had to do what you had to do, but why meet with him after you basically played in his face? And that's how the death thing happened. But I don't blame Kat for her son passing. I'm sorry, I just don't. I feel as though it's the son's fault. The son was very much so stupid to think that you could play in that man's face. The man wanted like one of his daughters to marry a prince, not sitting over here like he didn't want one of his daughters to marry somebody. Like, you pledged him to one of the lords. Like, what is your thing? Like, what is the issue? But no, you was trying to play in that man's face. And I loved how Arya came and took his life straight smooth away. He wasn't expecting Arya to come. Shout out to Arya. But yes, and then she was like, I promise you. She got very, very desperate. And the whole Jon Snow thing never sat well with me either, because like I said, Brandon, you were supposed to marry Brandon. You wasn't supposed to marry him. And you were pushing so hard to find out who his mother was. For what? I don't even understand that. Like, it's just, she was just very messy and weird for throughout the whole, and then you didn't watch this boy grow up, and you had all this hatred and spite against a child. It says a lot when somebody doesn't like a child. It says a lot about their character, because and then you had the biggest issue with the most honorable child. Like, he was the most honorable one, went and fought the night watch, did what he had to do for his family. He killed the love of his life for his sisters. I don't care what nobody say. Bran and was, had his powers and everything, the three-eye raven and all of that, cool. But the real star of the show was Jon Snow, and he did a lot for your goddamn kids for you to dislike him. I wish I knew how he really would feel, how she would have felt finding out who this man's mama was. Whole time you thinking that he cheated on you, did all of this, or you know what I'm saying, and he wasn't even your man like that early on, but you didn't even think about that. You thinking he cheated on you whole time. That's his sister's baby. I would want to be a fly in the wall to see her face when she finds that out, because that was just so messy. She was so mean and evil to him. And then she talked about, one time he got sick and I pray to God, please save his life. And then when he got better, I went back to hating him. Like, what is your issue against this is a child. I don't care if his dad did cheat. You thinking his dad cheated whole time, that wasn't the case. But even if his dad did cheat, that ain't got nothing to do with an innocent baby. That's I'm never getting mad at a child for something that was done without their approval. They didn't ask to be here. They didn't ask for their parents to do what their parents did. They didn't ask to exist. I didn't like that about her. And I felt like, man, she was making a lot of emotional decisions. And I felt like she led to a lot of people dying. And she could have really did the most, did her big one with Jaime. And her goddamn son was the stupidest of them all. Rob Starks was dumb as hell. He was the dumbest Stark brother. I'm sorry. He was so freaking dumb. He was even dumb. Bran was even smarter than him, and Bran couldn't even walk. Bran was, if you ask me, you know what I'm saying, like, he was just doing the things, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people sacrificed their life. Shout out to Hodor. But I'm just saying, like, it's a whole lot of stuff that she did wrong. And I'm not going to act like she didn't do nothing wrong. And I want to argue that her husband probably would have been alive had it not been for her. Like, her son probably would have been alive, because if it would not for her, because she promised her son to that ugly, weird, ancestral situation to where like, she just was doing a lot of stupid things off of emotions. And this is why women shouldn't be point blank period. And it's crazy that she was trying to advise Edmure, her brother, early on about battle and all of that, when you over here moving the way you moving, acting the way you acting. I'm glad he didn't listen to you and did what he wanted to do and won the battle. Probably if he would have listened to you, he probably wouldn't have won the battle, in my opinion. If he would not have married her, if you know what I'm saying, in my opinion, Ned would not have married her, he would have lived longer, because she was just a stressful wife. I just felt like she made a lot of stupid decisions, being selfish, not processing things, and I put a lot of the blame on her. I'm not saying she's a horrible character, but I'm saying that she's just not a great character, and she did a lot of craziness for no reason, and I didn't like her doing that, and her husband had to suffer the price, and she knew it was her fault, and she ain't know what was going to happen to her kids and all of that. Like, I don't know, she just wasn't my favorite character, in my opinion. I feel like she made a lot of stupid decisions for no reason. But yeah, this is my video on Kathleen Starks, aka Kathleen Tally. I didn't necessarily like her, and I'm going off of the book, not the book, the movie. I didn't see the book. I didn't read the book. I'm going off of the movie. So this is just my opinion on her as a character, just based off the movie. She wasn't my favorite character. She did a lot of dumb things, and I feel like Sansa's stupidity comes from her. You know what I'm saying? Arya, like, how amazing she is, has to be from her daddy, because Sansa has a lot of stupidity modeled after her mama. This is my opinion. Love y'all.